Look at where you are right now, the specific season, the specific people around you, the specific path that brought you to this exact moment. None of it was accidental, none of it was random. You did not wander into this life by chance. You were placed here, selected, before you were born, with full knowledge of who you would become and what you would be needed for, and chosen one, understanding that changes everything about how you see what you have been through and what is still ahead. Number one, selection is not about being better than others. It is about being specifically suited for a specific purpose. The word chosen carries weight that can be misunderstood. It does not mean elevated above others in worth. It does not mean that the selected person is superior to the unselected one. That misunderstanding produces pride in the chosen one and resentment in everyone else. What selection actually means is specific suitability. The way a craftsman selects a specific tool for a specific task, not because the selected tool is worth more than the others on the bench, because its specific qualities make it the right instrument for the specific work at hand. A hammer is not better than a chisel. It is the right tool for a different task. You were selected because your specific combination of gifts, temperament, experience, and capacity makes you the right instrument for a specific purpose in a specific time. Not better than others. Specifically suited, precisely fitted, intentionally chosen for what only this specific combination can accomplish. That understanding protects against both pride and insecurity. Pride says, I was chosen because I am exceptional. Insecurity says, I was not chosen because I am lacking. Truth says, I was chosen because God had a specific purpose and I was specifically fitted for it. Number two, the path that brought you here looked like too many wrong turns. But every turn was intentional. Looking back at the journey, the mind tends to focus on what looked like detours, the seasons that appeared to be moving in the wrong direction, the doors that closed before you were ready for them to close, the relationships that ended before you understood why, the plans that fell apart without obvious explanation. These were not mistakes in the plan, they were the plan. Every turn that looked wrong was navigating you away from something that would have taken you off course and towards something that the next step required. Every closed door was steering you toward the one that was actually yours. Every apparent detour was the more direct route to where you were being selected to arrive. God does not select a person and then leave the path to chance. The same intentionality that produced the selection produced the routing. The specific way your life has unfolded, including the parts that make no sense yet, is the specific path that was always moving you toward the purpose you were selected for. Trust the path. Even the parts of it that still do not make complete sense. They will. In time, from the right vantage point, the route will be unmistakable. Number three, you were selected before you had anything to offer. This is the truth that removes performance from the foundation of the calling. God did not select you after observing what you were capable of producing. He did not wait to see your track record and then decide you were worth investing in. The selection came before you had any track record at all, before you had demonstrated anything, before you had developed any of the gifts or the character or the endurance that now seem like obvious qualifications. He selected you in your unformed state, with full knowledge of what the formation would produce, but with no performance to evaluate yet. This means the selection was never based on what you could offer. It was based on what he intended to build, and the qualifications you carry now are not what qualified you. They are the product of the selection having already been made and the formation having already been ordered. You are not selected because you are good enough. You are good enough because you were selected, and the one who selected you has been building the goodness ever since. That foundation removes the anxiety about whether you are qualified. The qualification was established before you existed. The formation is what made it visible. Number four, the people in your life were also not placed there by accident. Selection is not an individual matter in isolation. It involves a whole context. The people who shaped you, the community that formed you, the relationships that tested you, and the ones that supported you. The teachers who poured into you and the ones whose failures taught you what not to become. Every significant person in your journey was part of the architecture of your formation. None of them were random either. The mentor who arrived at exactly the moment you needed direction. The friend who stayed through the season everyone else walked away from. The The difficult person who pressed against exactly the weakness that needed strengthening. The stranger who said something in passing that changed the direction of your thinking for years. These were not coincidences. They were placed by the same intentionality that placed you, positioned in your path to contribute exactly what the formation of a selected chosen one required at exactly the time it was required. Looking at your life with this understanding changes how you see the people in it, even the difficult ones, even the ones who hurt you, even the ones who were present for only a short season and then gone. All of it was ordered. All of it contributed to the formation of the person who now stands selected and ready for what comes next. Number 5. The selection carries a weight of responsibility, not just privilege. Being selected is not only an honor, it is a responsibility. The person who understands their selection only as privilege and not as responsibility misunderstands what selection means. The selected one is selected for something, not to sit in the awareness of their choosing and enjoy the feeling of being special, to do the specific work that the specific selection was designed to accomplish, to steward the gifts, to walk in the calling, to serve the people the purpose was always designed to reach. Scripture is consistent about this. To whom much is given, much is required. The servant entrusted with significant things was expected to invest them faithfully. The selected person who buries what they were given instead of putting it to work is not honored by the selection. The selection is honored by the faithful use of what it produced. Walk in the responsibility of your selection, chosen one, not with the weight of performance, with the grounded purposefulness of someone who knows they were chosen for something real and takes that seriously. The selection was not for your comfort, it was for the work. And the work is what honors the one who selected you. Number 6, others sensed you were selected before you fully believed it yourself. This is something that many chosen ones discover looking backward. The selection was visible to people around them before it was fully visible to them. The parent or teacher or mentor who said something when you were young that stuck because it rang true even though you did not fully understand it yet. The person who saw something in you and invested in it before you could justify the investment. The one who trusted you with something significant before your track record made the trust obviously reasonable. These people were not seeing something that was not there. They were seeing what God had placed in you before the full expression of it had emerged. They were responding to the reality of the selection even before the formation was complete enough for the selected one to fully recognize it themselves. Their recognition was not empty encouragement. It was accurate perception. And the chosen one who received it and held it through the seasons where their own sense of the selection was uncertain owes something to those people. The gratitude of understanding that they were seeing truly even when you could not yet see it for yourself. Who in your life saw what was in you before you could see it clearly? That perception was not accidental. And the people who offered it were placed in your path to sustain the selected one through the seasons where sustaining was what the journey required. Number 7, the selection is permanent. It is not revoked by your worst season. One of the most damaging lies that circulates in the mind of a chosen one is the lie that the selection can be lost, that enough failure or enough doubt or enough wandering will eventually result in the selection being revoked, that the calling expires if not consistently honored, that who you were chosen to be depends on your continued worthiness to be chosen. This is not how God's selection works. Scripture is direct about this. The gifts and calling of God are irrevocable. He does not select and then unselect. He does not call and then uncall. He does not invest the formation of years into a chosen one and then abandon that investment because of a season of failure. The selection stands through the worst seasons, through the greatest failures, through the moments where the chosen one was as far from expressing their purpose as they have ever been. The selection was not based on performance in the first place, and it does not expire based on performance afterward. What the selection requires is a return, a coming back. The chosen one who wandered far and returns finds the selection exactly where they left it, still intact, still active, still the foundation of what God is building. You have not lost your selection, chosen one, not through anything you have done, not through anything that has been done to you. It stands, and so do you. Number 8, the selection explains the opposition you have faced. Ordinary lives do not face extraordinary opposition. Ordinary purposes do not attract concentrated resistance. The specific nature of what has come against you across the journey tells you something about the nature of what you were selected for. The opposition is proportionate to the purpose. Always. The enemy does not direct significant resources at insignificant targets. He directs them at the ones whose full expression of their calling would cost him the most. Look at the pattern of what has come against you, the specific areas targeted, the specific timing of the attacks, the specific nature of the resistance. All of it is a map of your significance. Not a comfortable map, but an accurate one. And understanding it this way changes how you hold the history of the opposition, not as evidence that something was wrong with your path, as evidence that something was very right about it. The opposition was the enemy's response to a selection he could not prevent and a calling he could not stop. He could only try to slow it, and even that he has not managed to accomplish permanently. Number 9. The selection is confirmed by the endurance it produced in you. Anyone can make a claim about their calling in a comfortable season. The claim is easy when the conditions are favorable. It costs nothing to say God has chosen me when the evidence of the choosing is visible and the path is smooth. The selection is confirmed by what the chosen one does when the conditions are the opposite, when nothing visible supports the claim, when the choosing feels like abandonment, when the faith required to keep moving produces nothing immediate in return, when the only reason to keep going is the deep knowledge that the selection was real and the one who made it is faithful. You kept going, through seasons that offered no visible confirmation of the selection, through the silence and the delay and the opposition and the seasons of loss. You kept going. And that endurance is the confirmation that the selection was not just a feeling or a hope. It was real enough to sustain you through everything that tried to unsustain it. The endurance is the proof, not proof you need to show anyone, proof you carry within yourself of a selection that has always been real. Number 10. Where you end up will make where you have been make sense. The final word of part 1 is about the view from the destination, because the chosen one who is still in the journey cannot always see how the path makes sense, the turns, the detours, the closed doors, the long seasons of waiting. From inside them, they often feel like evidence that something went wrong. But the person standing at the destination looks back and sees something different. A direct route through indirect means. A perfect path disguised as a difficult one. The specific shaping of a specific person for a specific purpose carried out through the specific experiences of a specific life. You are not at the destination yet, but you are closer than you have ever been. And what the view from where you are already going will reveal about the journey that brought you there is something worth waiting for. Stay on the path, chosen one. Where you end up will make everything make sense. Number 11. The selection is not about what you feel. It is about what God declared. Feelings are real, but they are not the most reliable measure of what is true. The chosen one who bases their understanding of their selection on how they feel about it on any given day will find the selection feels more real in some seasons and less real in others. Will find themselves questioning it when the feelings are low and affirming it when the feelings are high. But the selection was not declared based on feelings. It was declared based on God's knowledge and God's intention. And God's knowledge does not change with circumstances. His intention does not shift based on how a chosen one feels on a Tuesday morning. The selection is true on the days it feels true, and it is equally true on the days it does not. The feeling does not create the reality. The declaration created the reality. And the declaration was made before you existed, before you had feelings about it, before any of the circumstances that would affect those feelings had occurred. Ground your understanding of the selection in the declaration, not in the feeling. Remind yourself on the low days not of how you feel about the calling, but of what God said about it. Return to the truth when the feeling fails to confirm it, and trust that the truth is the truth regardless of whether the feeling is present to agree with it. Number 12, the selection gives you the right to stand in rooms you feel unqualified for. One of the most common experiences of a chosen one stepping into new territory is the feeling of being unqualified for the room they are entering, the sense that the people around them have credentials, experience, or confidence that they lack. that they do not fully belong in the spaces that the next season is opening. That feeling is not an accurate reading of the situation. It is the old self-assessment measuring the new context. The version of you that formed the assessment was in a different season with different formation and different evidence of what you carry. The version standing in the new room is not the same version that formed the feeling of inadequacy. But beyond that, the selection gives you the right to stand in any room God places you in, not because you performed your way into it, because the one who selected you has also placed you, and what he places does not need to justify its presence by meeting a standard of human credentialing. Stand in the room, chosen one, without the apologetic posture of someone who is not sure they belong there, with the grounded presence of someone who knows who placed them there. That presence is itself part of what the room needs from you. Number 13. What you were selected for is bigger than your current understanding of it. The chosen one rarely has a complete picture of what they were selected for at any point in the journey. What they carry is always larger than what they can currently see. The purpose always extends further than the visible horizon. The impact always reaches places they cannot yet observe. This is by design. A complete picture of the full scope of the selection would be overwhelming before the formation is complete. God reveals the purpose in stages, enough to move forward, enough to trust. Not so much that the weight of the full scope is placed on the person before they are ready to carry it. What you understand about your selection today is real, but it is not complete. There is more to it. Further reach, deeper impact, more people, more generations, more of the specific work that only the specific selection and the specific formation it produced can accomplish. Stay humble before the full scope of what you were selected for, because the fullness of it exceeds what you currently know. And walk faithfully in what you do understand, trusting that more will be revealed as the capacity to receive it is built. Number 14. The selection connects you to a lineage of chosen ones who walked before you. You are not the first selected person to walk through what you have walked through. The specific experiences are yours. The specific calling is yours. But the category of the journey belongs to a lineage that extends far back through history. Every chosen one who endured a hidden season before the visible expression, everyone who was overlooked before they were recognized, everyone who was accused before they were vindicated, everyone who held faith through silence before the breakthrough came, everyone who passed the test that preceded the open door. You stand in that lineage, connected backward to the ones who walked the same kind of path before you, and connected forward to the ones who will walk it after you, who will look back at your story the same way you look back at the stories of the ones who came before, as proof that the journey is real, the selection is real, and the faithfulness required to walk through it is available to the chosen one who asks for it. You are not alone in this journey in a deeper sense than the immediate. You are part of something that has been moving through human history since the beginning, a lineage of the selected, of the ones God placed with purpose and walked through difficulty and brought through to the expression of their calling. Stand in that lineage with the honor it deserves. Number 15. The people who did not recognize your selection were not the authority on it. There were people who looked at you and saw nothing significant, who assessed your potential and concluded it was ordinary, who made decisions about your future based on what they saw and missed what God had placed underneath what was visible. Their assessment was not the authoritative one. They were not the ones who made the selection. They did not have access to the full picture. They were working from the surface of a person whose depth had not yet been fully revealed. And their conclusions, made without the full information, were limited by the limitation of their vantage point. God's assessment is the authoritative one, and his assessment was made with complete information, full knowledge of who you were becoming, what the formation would produce, what the selection was designed to accomplish. The conclusion he reached, expressed in the selection itself, was not uncertain. It was definitive. Do not carry the weight of misassessment from people who were not qualified to make the assessment in the first place. Their words were not true just because they were spoken with confidence. The truth was spoken before they formed their opinion, and the truth is what stands. Number 16. The selection was specific. That means the purpose is specific too. General callings are not what God issues. He does not select chosen ones for broadly being good people who make a positive contribution. He selects them for specific purposes, specific people to reach, specific work to do, specific contributions to make in specific moments of history that only a specific person, formed in a specific way, can make. This specificity is both the weight and the liberation of the selection. The weight, because it means there is something specific that requires your faithfulness. That cannot be done if you wander away from the specific shape of your calling, that the world will not receive if you do not bring it. The liberation, because it means the comparison to others is genuinely irrelevant. Their specific purpose does not overlap with yours. Their specific formation produced different equipment for a different assignment. The success or failure of their expression of their calling has no bearing on the success or failure of yours. Do your specific thing, chosen one, fully, without comparing it to anyone else's specific thing. The world needs what you specifically carry, not the general version, not a modified version of what someone else is doing. The real expression of what your specific selection produced. Number 17, you did not end up here by chance. Walk like it. This is the word the whole message has been building toward. You did not wander into this life. You did not arrive at this season by accident. You did not find yourself carrying what you carry through a series of unrelated events that happened to combine in an interesting way. You were placed, selected, formed, routed through specific experiences that produced specific things in you, connected to specific people who contributed specific things, positioned in this specific moment in history for a specific purpose that you are specifically equipped to fulfill. Walk like it, not with arrogance that announces the selection to every room, with the quiet, grounded, purposeful movement of someone who knows why they are here, who does not drift through their days as if the purpose is optional, who does not shrink back from the spaces the selection has opened as if they stumbled into them accidentally. Walk deliberately, with the awareness that every day of your life is part of a story that was being written before you began living it, that the one who wrote it knew what he was doing, that the path he ordered through every difficult season was moving towards something real. Walk like you were selected, because chosen one you were. Number 18. The selection is the beginning of the story, not the summary of it. Being selected is not the achievement, it is the starting point. The chosen one who stops at the awareness of their selection and lives in it without moving into the expression of it has not fulfilled what the selection was for. The selection is the invitation, the formation is the preparation, the expression is the purpose. And the expression requires everything the selection and the formation produced to be brought into full and faithful movement in the world. You were selected for something real, something that requires you to actually do it, to show up, to give what you carry, to be present in the spaces you were placed in, and move faithfully in the direction you were pointed. The story the selection started is waiting to be written in full, and it is written not in the awareness of the choosing, but in the faithful living of what the choosing was for. Write it, chosen one, every day, with everything you have, for the people you were placed to serve, for the God who selected you before you had anything to offer and has been building toward this expression ever since. You did not end up here by chance. Now go live the proof of it. Like this video, if you felt this message confirm something you already knew was true. Subscribe to this channel because the messages coming in this season were written for the chosen one walking into the full expression of their selection. Share this with someone who has forgotten that they were placed here on purpose, and comment below with the word selected because that is exactly what you are. God bless you, chosen one. You were selected. Now walk in it.